Typical day for me starts at around 5 a.m. I like to grab a cup of black coffee with some MCT oil. I write down 3 goals, 3 things that I must do for today. I write down 3 affirmations, things that I want for me and my family. And then after that, I meditate for about 10 minutes. And then I go to the gym for about an hour and a half. I like to do weights and cardio. I come back, shower, and then I start my day. So I don't look at my phone for the first hour that I wake up. So my morning's all about me, setting my mindset, setting my body, getting my health right so that I can take on the day for my family and for my business. I didn't always see myself in the role that I am at now as an entrepreneur. Actually, when I first started becoming an entrepreneur and started my online business, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, really. It has all been trial and error and going through speed bumps and riding the roller coaster of life, really, and business. I didn't see myself running a successful online education company and marketing agency in just a few short years, serving active duty military for 10 plus years, and then getting out and doing this is a little insane. So it's been a crazy transition, but I'm just very blessed to be here at this point. But everyone has their own journey and things they go through in life to get to where they want to go. Your journey is always different than the person next to you. So I never try to compare myself to anybody else. I just focus on my core key things that I want to achieve, and I just keep executing, and I never quit. And that's what's brought me to where I'm at now. I'm not a huge reader. That might surprise a lot of people. I mean, there's people that say, a book a day makes the doctor go away. For me personally, I love books. Don't get me wrong, I love books, but I do my reading differently. I listen to audiobooks when I'm at the gym. So that hour and a half to 2 hours that I'm in the gym every day, I'm consuming content through books. And I'll listen to full books through audio, or I'll speed read as well. So the way you do that is I use an app called Book Notes. It gives me like the 15 to 20 minute summary of 100-page or 1,000-page books within 10 to 15 minutes or something like that. And it'll allow me to get all the golden nuggets out of the book. And if I really, really like the book note, I'll go and get the Audible and listen to the full book. Physical activity literally is the number one staple to my success. I mean, I know this question is specific on physical activity. I think my wife and other things play a lot of role into that as well. But physical activity for sure is a key component, because like my morning routine, I'm getting up, focusing on me. Literally the first 2 hours of every day is all about me. I'm very selfish with that time, because for the rest of the 18 hours in the day, I need to be able to show up for my daughter, for my wife, and for my business and my employees, and obviously my customers and clients, which are a huge, huge part of this, because this wouldn't be anything without them, right? So I need to be able to show up. If I'm not physically fit, mentally fit, I'm not going to be able to perform for them when they need me the most. And even through my day, I have a stand-up desk in my office. So I have a sit-down desk and a stand-up desk. And I pretty much try to split the time 50-50 between standing and sitting, because I want to keep moving around and getting the blood flowing and getting the juices going. Because when you're in a state of sitting and not moving, you ever notice, like when you go to the gym or if you go for a run or anything, just your creative juices just start flowing, right? It gets everything firing off. And I like to keep myself in a creative state. And the way to do that is to stay active throughout your day, so you can keep growing. 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, YouTube advertising. We used to be all Facebook ads, and not saying Facebook is a bad platform. Once we discovered YouTube, we found that we were able to get people to watch an hour plus of content. The probability of them taking action on our offer by the end of that hour plus of content was way higher than it was on Facebook, because people on Facebook, right, they're kind of scrolling, they're not necessarily interested. There's good money to make, but on YouTube, it's a search engine. People are searching how to solve a problem. So if you can get in front of them at the right time, you can get them to watch video. They come in with a lot high buyer intent. They're way more indoctrinated. They're more oriented to your process. I was reading a statistic, I remember back in 2016, and it said by 2018, 80% of all online sales will come from a video by 2018. And now we're in this year, right? So video is even more important. So if you're not creating video content and selling through video, you're really losing the game in this current year. So 100% YouTube ads all the way. Yeah, my time in the Navy was really awesome. From going to boot camp, I got to do a lot of different things. Just a little bit of background in my time in the Navy. I spent just over 10 years in the Navy. I went to boot camp, then I went to corpsman school where I pretty much got to be a nurse's assistant. I actually specialized in laboratory technician, so it was additional schooling where I got to go learn how to study blood and urine and body fluids, and pretty much the doctor will give you, your swab or whatever. It's up to me to tell you what's wrong with you. I work with patients and really learn the science side of medicine. I did get to go to field medical training and learn how to do combat wound and care with Marines. And I got to do, travel all over the world, go to Italy. I went on a humanitarian mission where we went to Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, and Fiji, and we did amazing things in those places. We built schools, we built hospitals. We fed people, we gave them books. For me, it was truly a transformational experience. And I think as an entrepreneur, a lot of what I experienced and saw overseas in third world countries, it really made me want to do more, make more so I can give more. And that's kind of what's triggered me becoming an entrepreneur, that hunger to do more and give more. The charities and churches that we're a part of now, that's the kind of stuff that I love being a part of and love doing. To answer the core question about making my business better and as a leader, I mean, in the military, you're taught from the start that you're a leader. Even at the lowest rank, that came in as an E1, I got out as an E6 in 10 years active duty. Obviously E6 is more of like a floor supervisor. You can manage hundreds of people. From day one, you're taught leadership, accountability. You're taught respect for others. These are all common things that you need in an organization to be successful. People need to feel like they're a part of a mission. They need to feel like they're part of an outcome. And people rally around the idea. If you get enough people believing in the mission, that they're part of this bigger mission and this bigger outcome, they'll rally around it and do anything that you need them to do to make the mission possible. And if everyone's treated respect and felt like they're a leader in their own space, that they're subject matter experts, they'll show up for you every single day. And what I really learned, those core things being in the military, and it's really molded how I show up every single day with my employees, getting them on the right step. And I'm not a person that likes to throw the book at people. I like a relaxed work environment too. Personally, I hated it when I had leaders I wouldn't even call them leaders since they were doing it, but they were micromanaging, looking over your shoulder all over the time. I feel like people are more productive when they're in charge of their own work and their own schedules, to a certain extent. So, learning those core concepts in the military has gone a long way. I feel like everyone really should be at least 2 years serving. I think that there's so many things that a young kid at 18 years old needs to get his butt kicked into him to learn coming up in the world. There's just certain things that you need to know. And you need to know that not everything's going to be handed to you. Like, you got to go out there and work for it. In the military, nothing was given to you. Everything literally you had to work for and you had to grind for, just like you do as a business owner, which is kind of interesting. So I noticed in the military, the harder I worked, the more impact I made on other people and helped other people get what they wanted. I was rewarded big time, right? And it's the same thing in life and in business. It was Zig Ziglar that said, the more you're willing to help others get what they want, the more chances you're going to be able to achieve and get all you want in life. That, I don't think it was quoted just like that, but he said something to that effect. And I read that as an entrepreneur. That really, really stuck with me. It just really made me reflect on the experiences and the things that I've learned coming from the military. Yeah, I think it's important. You want to celebrate wins often. You don't want to celebrate like at the end of the month. I celebrate wins almost every single day, no matter how big or no matter how small. I think those are the things that propel you and motivate you to the next win. You keep building wins and wins and wins. And by the time you get to the end of it, you look backwards and you're like, there's so much behind you. There's so many things that you've achieved, right? And that's the only way to do it. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can go out, if you get yourself a new pair of shoes or a new watch, or go out to take your wife out to dinner or to a movie, just doing something for yourself that you don't normally always do. I think it's very important to always do those things and keep those things in mind. Celebrating every day, it has really helped me push forward. So I don't wait until we hit a million in revenue or whatever the number is. If we get a client testimonial or we get a positive feedback from a customer, like, that's a win. Let's go have lunch, and celebrate that win. That's kind of how I approach my wins on a daily basis. The biggest business challenge that I've overcome recently, when you're scaling, it's hard to scale when you're by yourself. You typically need other people involved. There's other minds that need to get involved with the process. You yourself don't really want to be in the trenches and the nitty gritty day-to-day stuff, right? The point of a business is to make the owner rich and to create job opportunities for other people, right? So that they can earn a living as well, right? That's the whole thing of business. That's why when it comes down to it, friends may get together and do business with each other, but the conversation may be different when friends are involved. They may be a little bit more candid with each other. What happens when you work with friends or family, right? Emotions get involved. And that's just an example. In business, for me, building out a big team with so many salespeople and managers, I have my assistant, we have media buyers, we have copywriters, and everyone we work with. Biggest challenge is finding and acquiring the right talent and then putting in the right systems, processes, and SOPs to make sure that everyone's firing on all cylinders at all times. That's literally the biggest challenge that I've had to overcome. And in building this team, obviously we're acquiring revenue and there's pay for everyone, right? So that's the biggest challenge. It's really just focusing internally on our people. Who do we have working for us? Who do we have in our process? And are we able to support them and give them what they need to grow? That's the challenges that we've been recently focused really hard on in our business. I'd have to say the number one thing that one of my mentors shared with me on my mindset and approach to business is, I can probably share a couple of things. Number one, you're not going to make everyone happy. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, your employees, your customers, your clients, you're not going to make everyone happy. So the best you can do is do your best to put the right systems and processes in place to make sure they're successful. But there's always going to be somebody that's going to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. There's always going to be someone that's going to come in with a bad attitude, and they're going to project those feelings on other people, and you may be on the receiving end, and it's not your fault. It just is what it is. That's probably the biggest thing that I've learned through the years that a mentor has shared with me. And then I would say one more too, like if you're going to scale a business, you have to have marketing, you have to have advertising. So how much are you pouring into marketing and advertising every month? Is your business dependent on referrals and word of mouth, or is it dependent on driven data from paid traffic? It's two huge things. Like if you're trying to scale a company and you're walking around asking people for business, that sucks. I did it when I first started and I stopped doing it because it was horrible. I got to a point where I need to get into paid ads. And that's where we started 10, 20, 30Xing. So that's the biggest two things that I could probably share with you that a mentor shared with me. Just know that you're not going to please everyone, and you got to focus on paid traffic if you're going to scale. 3 huge habits that I do daily that's brought me massive success. Number one, I talked about my morning routine. That for sure is the easy one, just to say you got to do it. You got to have a morning routine. You got to set up your day for success. If you start with success, you will end with success, right? Number 2, I would probably say communication with my wife, because everything is done at home. If nothing's good at home, nothing's going to be right. So it starts with me communicating with my wife, making sure she knows what the plan of the day is. She knows what to expect. Okay, she's got appointments or she's got meetings. If I have appointments, if I have meetings, we're constantly in communication, and we meet weekly on our full week. So we know exactly what's going on. That has given me so much strength and trust in my marriage for me to go out and just crush it in business, right? Number 3, I would probably say is keeping a calendar. As you grow and as you scale, there's a lot of meetings and people that come into your life and your business, and you got to keep track of them. For me, I do that in my calendar. If somebody wants to have a conversation, let's get it on the calendar. If my wife wants to have a conversation, let's get it on the calendar. I treat my marriage just like I do in my business. If there's a conversation that need to be had, you put it on the calendar. My wife does it too. So if you're going to book an appointment, for your business, why would you not book an appointment for your wife? Your wife should have, or your significant other, they should have time in your calendar as well. That's the 3 things that I think is really important that I do every day. The constant making sure that I'm taking care of myself in the morning, setting up my day for success, communicating with my wife on my whereabouts and things that she wants to achieve and that I want to achieve. And number 3, managing all of my contacts and communication with customers and clients and friends and everything through my calendar. My calendar has been huge. And probably a 4th thing, having an assistant that's really awesome that can help you with the calendar is a big help too. So I'll add that in there. Yeah, I would definitely say the most radical improvement that I've seen from working with a client. I took a client that has tons of affiliates, running all of his traffic, but he has no data, oversight on what's actually happening. He wanted to break into the YouTube ad space and run ads from his account and pay for the ads. So I took him on, and We got him up to $1 million ad spend within 90 days. I would probably say that's the fastest growth that I've seen that I've been able to do for someone. Obviously, we didn't just spend $1 million+ on YouTube ads just because obviously there was an ROI, but that gave him the opportunity to scale and have full control of his data and traffic, even though it was me running it and my team, but he was able to actually do that for himself. So it was really cool to see that happen for him for the first time, even though he had like 9. So this is someone with 900 affiliates, right? But I would probably say that's the biggest improvement that I've seen from taking somebody essentially from zero from their own personal traffic to $1 million in ad spend. Was really cool. For me, for hobbies, I would definitely say working out is a hobby. I love going to the gym and on muscle definition, cardio, doing all that stuff. I love eating the right foods. I think those are all things given that you should do as a business person mindset. But I think for hobbies, for me right now, I have a daughter that's about to be 7 months. For me, my favorite hobby right now is just hanging out with her, taking her for walks, feeding her, playing with her. She's got this play tent that an adult should not fit in, but I get in there and play with her, and it's kind of awkward because I don't fit. But doing things like that and creating those moments are so important to me right now. So I'd probably say my daughter is my number one hobby outside of work-related activities. My biggest pet peeve when working with someone, even if it's just my barber or whatever it is, or an assistant or, a media buyer. The biggest thing I have an issue with, I think across the board, and it doesn't even have to be for work or business, even in friendships, it's the fact that you say you're going to do something and then don't do it. Whenever somebody says they're going to do something and commit, to me, you may have heard this before, but commitment's doing what you said you were going to do, even after excitement of doing it's already gone. I'm a very generous person, and I usually give people the benefit of the doubt, but as soon as somebody like backs out of doing what they said they were going to do, they like radar up, red flag, right? That for sure is something that I keep an eye out. Obviously if things happen, just communicate it. I think if there's extenuating things that happen, as long as it's communicated. But I've learned now, and I'm not going to act like I'm perfect. There's been times where I personally communicate on certain things. These are things that I've learned and I've grown from. And I've actually learned how important it is to keep your commitments. Do unto others as you want done to you. Commitment to me is like probably the number one thing I focus on. And if it's somebody that's young, that's trying to get in the space, and if I see it, I'll point it out and I'll be upfront and tell them how I feel. If they're accepting to it and want to learn and change, then awesome. But if they're stuck in their own ways and they don't, then that person's not a great fit. It's true what they say, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And definitely my circle has changed, through the years as an entrepreneur. When I was in the military, I hung out with all military people. That's what I was. The 5 people I hung out with were all military, and all we did was talk about military stuff or the government or whatever. Now as an entrepreneur in the marketing space, my social circle has changed a little bit. And I think that it's still evolving. I think someone that I might mention today may not be necessarily in my circle in the next 5 years. I think the people that are in my circle today, they for sure will probably be in my circle in the next 5 years. But I know within the last 5 years, my circle has definitely changed, even in an entrepreneurial circle. A couple buddies for sure, like I'll mention Mark Lack. He's one of the top branding experts in the world. I have another friend, his name's Nicholas Barely. He has a company called $1 Billion Body, where he travels and hosts events, and he pretty much helps people create better performance in their health, wealth, and their relationships. So those are 2 really strong people in my circle right now. I also have another really good friend that's in the mortgage space in San Diego. His name's Oscar Gastelum. He's someone that I look to a lot because I'm trying to get more in touch with like my spiritual side. So he's very connected with his church and everything. But those are people that I like to associate myself with and that are successful, that are doing great things for people online. Like I said, my circle's changed, and there's other people, there's probably other names that I could mention, but those are 3 people that I actually communicate with more often than anyone else currently at the moment. Earning money is great. Once you become financially free and you got a lot of money in the bank, that's cool, right? I know tons of millionaires that just hate life. Like they're just unhappy. And there's definitely billionaires that are unhappy. And why is that? Because they have everything they could ever want in the world. True happiness comes from finding and doing something that you're truly passionate about, that in all of your heart, you feel good about waking up every day doing what you're doing, and you get great fulfillment from that. And then having obviously a family that supports you, a wife or a husband, children, those are next level things that gives your life more purpose, right? So I say, if you're somebody that is struggling to stay motivated, you got money in the bank, you can do and go wherever you want. Make sure you find something that really gets you up out of bed. There's a lot of people that want to like quit their job and you start making money online and become an entrepreneur. And the idea of having money to them sounds really sexy. And I get it, because when I first was getting out of the military, I saw the opportunity to make money, but also saw the opportunity to help people and to give back. So my purpose and the money I was going to make was actually tied back to a particular outcome that I had in mind that makes me feel good about getting up out of bed every day. So I hope that makes sense. So find what you're passionate about. Make sure that you're bringing happiness to someone else. For me, I think true happiness actually is helping other people achieve what they want. Like, to me, that's my definition of it. Being able to give to my daughter and feed her and take care of her, and to my wife to nurture her and take care of her as well. Those are all things that bring me great happiness. Family for sure, but giving back and helping others, I think you can't go wrong. But ultimately, you need to find when you go to bed at night, if you don't feel good about your day, change up your routine the next day and do that until you find your passion, so that when you go to bed at night, you can actually rest easy. This is a great question, and I love this question. So the first hour I wake up, I don't even look at my phone, not even looking at it. I pick it up and I take it to the gym and I turn it on to play music. That's it. I'm not checking emails. I'm not checking Facebook. I'm 100% focused on me. When I get into my office a couple hours later after I showered, then I'll go through my notifications and see and prioritize what needs my attention, what needs to happen right now, what needs to happen later, what should wait till tomorrow, what's priority for me right now. I have my goals and I have the things that I need to achieve for that day. I have on my laptop, on my computers, on my desktop, I actually have 0 notifications. Everything's turned off. You can't get in touch with me via email. You can't get in touch with me via Facebook, YouTube, nothing. My phone's actually upside down and the sounds are turned off on it. When I get in my office and I'm in the zone and I need to try to actually implement work to make things happen, I turn off all those distractions so that I can get it done. And for about 2 to 3 hours in that morning, you can't get in touch with me. After that, I'll open up the notifications, and there's times, there's a time and place for it. There's my calendar. There's times for phone calls, texting to make an appointment happen or something like that. Bottom line is, I recommend removing notifications off your phones, off your desktop, off your laptop. If there's something urgent, you should know about it coming through a certain source, so I use Slack. Right. So I have most of my team communication through Slack. If there's anything urgent or important, that's what I will focus on. My family, obviously, if there's anything going on in my family, they can call or text me. They have a certain number that they can call, and I'll definitely be responding to that one. But for the most part, if you're trying to focus and put your head down and get things done, you need to have notifications turned off everywhere. This is actually a great question, because the first high ticket client that I ever required was actually my first client that I ever required. Complete newbie, kid off the block. I acquired one of the biggest limousine party bus companies in San Diego. The average ticket for them, I would probably say it's somewhere between $1,000 to $1,500. Now, this is local brick and mortar stuff. Obviously, for high ticket online, that's a different story. But my first client was actually a really big client, and I was able to score 25% rev share for them. My first check after a week was $5,000. And I remember getting that check and getting that money. First time I ever made money from anyone online or anywhere. I took my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time. We went out to eat and we celebrated, right? We celebrated that win and I paid for it. I remember the bill was like $80 and I was like, this is nothing. I got this, right? That was my first client story ever. And it, for me, that was high ticket. I think for the high ticket coaching space, I would probably share, my next biggest client after that was probably a lot bigger. I like to share that first story because that first story I'll never forget, because that was my first client. I remember how much that changed and set up my business. But I'd probably say the next biggest client that I ever got wasn't even in the online space. It was actually another local service. It was an attorney. Landed a $30,000 a month retainer for them to generate leads for their firm. That one really set the tone because I went from $5,000 a month clients to $30,000 a month clients. That's a big difference. That's 6x. You get a few of those clients. Now you're talking about making multiple six figures a month. I'd probably have to say that money that generated, the reason why that client was so impactful, because it really opened my eyes up to what really is possible. Making that first client paying me $5,000 for that rev share for that first week was $5,000 a month. I got $5,000 the first week, and I think it tailored down. So I was making an average of maybe $5,000 to $7,000 a month because we moved to a retainer basis and then a smaller percentage. But with that first client, I was able to do something extraordinary, and that's replace my income, the check that I was getting from the military, with one client right off the bat. The next biggest client that I ever got was this attorney at $30,000. So $30,000 a month is actually the average income someone in the United States would make per year that's employed. And I'm able to acquire a client that's paying me that in a single month. So it really opened my eyes. So the first check, I replaced my personal income with one client. Next biggest client I got, what I make in a month is what the average person makes in a year. So going down this path of growth, it's just been able to really open my eyes. Like, if I can do this, then I can do more. And it just kept going and kept going as my journey at working with clients on the potential, on what I can create, the wealth I can create, and the type of clients that I can attract to my business. It's really extraordinary. Right now, I'm really focused on education. I've always had a passion for helping people get to where they want to go. Even back when I was in the military, I shared earlier about how I was a Navy corpsman and I was a lab tech and I went to do field med. All those things are great. That's your core jobs. Those are core skills that you do. And then you show up every day. Pretty much you work about 10 hours a day, and then there's deployments and stuff. But that's what you do every day. Now, in the military, there's things that you can do to get extra street credit or to get more points or to get a better eval, because every year you go through an evaluation process and they select, the top performing people, and you get promoted. You got to take a test and you have this evaluation. There was things that I always did in between the times I was doing my actual job. If I had extra time, I would do other things. And for me, I love teaching. I became like basic life support certified and ACLS. I would teach how to save people's lives if they were choking or they stopped breathing. And I would have big classes, like 100 plus people in the room, and I'll be giving those classes. I put on big balls, the Navy ball in Italy. At the time, we had 1,000 attendees back in 2013. I threw that whole ball, our hospital corpsman ball in Italy, where there was hundreds of guests. I always love managing and getting in front of people and teaching and instructing and doing things and facilitating training like that. It just always brought more of a sense of purpose to my life. I felt like I was more fulfilled when I was doing that. So right now, where I'm at in my business, I have a great, amazing agency, but I've been focusing heavily on education. We do massive calls. Like right now in our company, it's normal for us to talk to 120 to 130 people a day inquiring about our products and services. We get hit up a lot, and it's because so many people see the success. So many people want, whether it's more leads for their business or to start a business or to grow a business, they want the information. And I love teaching and educating. So I've been focusing heavily right now in online education and built programs that teach people step by step, how to generate leads for businesses, how to get more leads for their business, how to close over the phone for high ticket, how to generate appointments online. And that's really transformed my business, because now I'm not only helping the onesie twosie agencies or companies get more customers, I'm actually out here creating massive opportunities for people that didn't know anything about marketing, and creating opportunities for people in the marketing space or in their online business, maybe able to help them grow and scale to levels that they never thought was possible. And that brings me so much peace and fulfillment in what I do every day. So if you ask me for the next 5 years, it's really just going to be a continuation of that, and trying to reach, qualify, and enroll, the right people for our systems and processes that we have. It's not for everyone, but I've been awarded the opportunity to give back and to teach. It's allowed me to obviously to run my business and help people. And it's what I love doing. So the next 5 years, I'm going to be focusing on education heavily, speaking and traveling. I love doing that stuff as well. And beyond that, it's just going to keep going on the up and up. I don't ever see myself retiring because I never feel like I'm working. I feel like people that retire, it means that they're working, right? I never wake up a day in my life recently and feel like I'm working because I'm doing what I love. If you're doing what you love, if you're passionate about what you're doing every single day, it doesn't really feel like work. For me, I don't feel like I'm working, so I don't even know what retirement means at this point. I guess retirement for me is when I stop breathing. I don't see myself retiring because I love what I do and I'm going to keep doing it, until my last breath. The best investment that I've ever made was in Douglas James, myself. I took a chance on me. There was a lot of people that didn't believe in me, that didn't believe that I could do what I'm doing today and achieve what I've been able to achieve. And I took a chance, a few years ago, which seemed like a few days ago. A few years ago, I took a chance on me and I decided to jump all in on internet marketing and jump all in on this idea of making money from the internet. I've been able to achieve great things. And if I would have never made that investment in myself to learn and educate myself, then I would have never been here today. I could have been stuck. I could probably still be in the military right now and doing amazing things and seeing amazing places. There's nothing wrong with it, but you're ultimately answering to someone every single day, not setting your own rules and your own boundaries and living your own purpose, which I'm a firm believer in. I think there's a time and place for a job or for a business, but if you're somebody that wants more than that, if you think outside the box, then go get it. But you got to invest in yourself. It starts with you. And the investment not necessarily is money. I think it can be money, maybe there's a course or a program that you want to go buy to teach you a skill set that you can't get in college, right? For sure. Go invest. That's investing in yourself. That's not investing in some course. That's investing in yourself because you're taking the step to go out and learn something. That's what I did. I invested in myself. The worst investment that I think I'm probably responsible for from a financial place, I've definitely done deals that didn't pan out, and that's just a part of business. And that just kind of segues into the next step. Being an entrepreneur and having your own business, things aren't going to run 100% smoothly all the time. You got to be able to weather the storm. You have to be ready for it. You have to know it's coming. And the way you show up every day and the way you bounce back from those troubles really shows your type of character and how bad you really want something. I coach people every day in my programs. They always say, I'm scared. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I can make this happen. How bad do you want it? What's going to happen if you don't make it happen? Are you going to go back to what you were doing before? Were you happy where you were before? Or is weathering this storm and getting through this more worth it because the pain of going back is worse than the pain of going through the current problem you're facing? The worst thing you could ever do is to quit. Don't quit. Keep pushing forward. Invest in yourself because you're your biggest asset. You're the only way you're going to move forward. You're your biggest obstacle. Get through yourself, invest in yourself, and don't quit. No one remembers the person that quit.